One of the falsehoods that capitalism teaches us is that there is no time for rest, no time to reconsider, no time to stop, pause, gather our thoughts, and reimagine a better world. And I and Mercury Retrograde are here to tell you that capitalism is a liar. Let's talk about it. Hey, Cosmic Cuties, it is your friendo, the lady, Ms. Vagina Jenkins, coming to you with a much more casual, relaxed approach to filming today. I am actually sitting on my couch, which is also doubling as a people nest. I have everything that I need for my daily survival here on my couch. Thank you. Thank you, couch. Thank you for holding me and all of my stuff. I'm coming to you from my couch today because I do not have the capacity to make a proper video. And by proper video, I mean sit down and script something. Well, first of all, come up with the idea, sit down, script it, sit down, record it, sit down, edit it. I just don't have it in me. I don't know what's going on with me. Could be birthday brain, could be a lack of self-care, could be the fact that YouTube is tripping and I feel a little demotivated, but that's a whole other video. Child, I have a couple more weeks before I share with you the real tea about what's going on. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. My point is casual video, limited capacity. So I'm going to talk off the cuff, very extemporaneously about Mercury retrograde. We've talked about it before, but I don't think that it can hurt to talk about a thing a little bit more. There's nothing wrong with too much information. Is there too much information? I don't know. Anyway, so Mercury retrograde, what do it mean? How will it affect you and you and you and them and all of us? So, any planetary placement can go retrograde. By retrograde, what we mean is, hey, people on Earth have been observing the sky for centuries, across cultures, across time. There's a usual way in which we note the planet's movement through the sky. And then sometimes, rarely, we experience what looks like any particular planet moving backwards or opposite of the way in which we normally see its movement through the sky. And we call that a planetary retrograde. Like I said, all the planets do it, but the one that we know, or most people know anyway, is the Mercury retrograde. And I believe it's because the Mercury retrograde happens so much more often, though some of the outer planets being in retrograde lasts much more longer. So, I don't know. It's like Mercury retrograde happens 3-4 times a year, depending. But yeah. It's funny because right now, I think starting March 1st and going through the beginning of April, I want to say April 7th, April 12th. Now through April 12th, we're actually in a Venus retrograde period, and no one's really talking about that. But again, I think Mercury retrogrades are just something that we clock more easily for some reason. But yeah, so anytime a planet is in retrograde, just means that from Earth's perspective, it looks like it's moving backwards. What astrologers have noticed in terms of how this affects us is a much more internalized experience of what the planetary lesson is. So, for example, the planetary lesson of Mercury to me is understanding our mental landscape, understanding what it is that fuels our minds, the unique way that we think, communicate, write, express ourselves to get information across. Yeah, it asks how and what you would like to think about and how that shapes your world, if that makes any sense. And so with a Mercury retrograde, we get this opportunity to reconsider and have this moment of pause to actually gather our thoughts and reconsider what it is that we think about, how we think about things, what we devote our attention to, what we consume in terms of content, and also the diet of conversation, dialogue that we have with other folks. Like all of those things come under question when it is a Mercury retrograde. Oh, also pause to just also mention, maybe I should make this a double Mercury and Venus video. If you're wondering about the same things about Venus, well, let me tell you about what Venus's lessons are, and you can tell me in the comments what you think Venus retrograde is all about. Okay, so Venus as a planetary teacher is here to teach us to how we are attractive. Quite literally, yes, how we are attractive to other people, what attracts other people to us, whether it's beauty or our way of being or our way of communicating or lifting up others, all of these different ways in which you can be attractive. But also all of the ways in which we attract the things that we desire to us. So our relationship to manifestation could go under Venus sorts of things. Aesthetics, of course, could go under Venus sorts of things. Our art making in terms of the ways that we creatively put ourselves out there and what we attract to us with our creative self-expression and our aesthetic self-expression. So yeah, all of those things might be up for grabs or up for review when there's an actual Venus retrograde. And so you might get this opportunity to think about, manifestation work that has gone uncompleted, or the ways in which you were able to achieve some sort of attracting things to you that you desired, whether you call that manifestation or not. Yeah, so that is just a brief rundown of like the lesson of Venus and the things that might come up for review when Venus is in retrograde, like it is right now through April 12th, I believe it was. I will also say that in both circumstances, these could be people from your past that pop back up into your life. If you think about how we relate to people, it is often through a Venusian or mercurial lens, right? I'm sharing ideas with you, or I am sharing romance, sex, lovey-dovey fun times with you. Like those kinds of things are quite normative in terms of how we relate to people. And so retrogrades around those particular planetary lessons, Mercury and Venus, could definitely bring people from your past back into your life. And it's this opportunity to evaluate, is this a person I really like mentally connecting to? Is this a person I really like romantically connecting to? Does this person still share my values? Oh, they don't? Who has shifted, them or me? You get to have all of these really cool reflection moments, I'll say. What I think is difficult, going back to just the pure Mercury retrograde of it all, is that it's a moment to pause and think. And sometimes when you don't pause and think and gather your thoughts, things can go awry. You can say something off the top of your brain that should not have been said, or send the wrong document, or go the wrong way on the highway. These are all kinds of Mercury retrograde mishaps that I'm sort of bringing up. Um, I also wanted to add some information about understanding how the Mercury retrograde might affect you according to the sign and the house that it is transiting for you. Um, so one thing to keep in mind is that Mercury will start out its retrograde in Aries. And it will be in Aries in the time between 14th of March and the 29th of March. And then on the 29th, it moves backwards, retrograde, into Pisces from Aries. And it will be retrograding through Pisces till April 7th, when it will station direct. And then it'll cover all those same degrees that it just covered, but this time in a forward sort of perspective motion. Um, so yeah, with the first part of the retrograde going through Aries, then I would think about like what are the pitfalls of Mercury in Aries. When I think about pitfalls of Mercury in Aries, I think very much about maybe impulsive communication, or maybe even being a little bit too direct, curt, maybe even argumentative or aggressive in your communication, like those kinds of things. And then what house do you have Aries in, so that you can know what area of life you should be a little bit more careful, intentional, reflective instead of reactive, yeah, in your communication. For me, this is happening over my 10th house of career and public reputation. And so for me, I'm just going to be really diligent about my public uh, presence on social media, and the work that I do publicly for folks. And yeah, just be really slow and intentional, which I think is kind of the opposite of Aries energy. Or, otherwise, just be aware of my tendency to rush, being be an impulsive communicator, or not, or prioritize myself over others to the detriment of others. I'm thinking a lot about conversations that require slow pacing due to consent here. That's something that I've been working on. Anywho, so that's the Aries part of the Mercury retrograde. Then when it backs into Pisces, when I think about Pisces, Mercury communication mishaps and snafus, I think about, the way that Mercury does not super enjoy being in Pisces. It's a debilitated placement, but that just means that it has to find a unique way to manage, the sharing of ideas, communications, data, that kind of thing. But here's the thing. Uh, because it's finding this unique way of doing all of those communication tasks, and the rest of the world might have a preconceived notion about how those communication tasks look. Sometimes Mercury and Pisces can be misunderstood. Its dreaminess, its imaginative nature, it's asking us to use our intuition, and feel things out in communication, can be misunderstood by other folks. So I think that's a common Mercury and Pisces pitfall. So something to be aware of. And then, yeah, where is this playing out for you? For me, this is happening in my 9th house of like higher learning and academia, or just generally the meaning making and philosophizing we do to understand, you know, our our life and our place in our lives and how the world works. Anyway, so yeah, with some issues being misunderstood in that particular area, I'm definitely thinking a lot about my YouTube presence, and how what I do here is so much rooted in, sharing this higher wisdom of astrology with folks. And if that is going to be affected by being misunderstood, I just want to be really slow, diligent, intentional in my communication. Um, And yeah, go with the flow to understand how I can more carefully intuit ways to navigate this transit, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I just wanted to offer up that way of looking at this retrograde as well. Looking at the house and sign that it falls in your chart. Be sure to comment below if you need any help figuring this out for yourself. I'm always down to clown. And so with this time, I wonder if a reframe for Mercury retrograde time could be less about I'm being forced to slow down and more about look at this space for myself, my space for my brain and my mental landscape to process. Look at this space for myself I get to create. Look at this space for myself and my mental landscape that I am stealing back from capitalism. Look at this time to think that I have pilfered away from, the systems that would like to keep me distracted from my mind, my mental landscape, myself, my community. And so, yeah, what if Mercury retrograde was not a nuisance that keeps us from keeps us from capitalisming properly, right? And conducting business as usual. And instead, it was a time to think about assessment, a time to pause, gather our thoughts, and maybe commit ourselves to a new way of thinking. I don't know. This is just me rambling, but holler in the comments if you feel me. Also, if you feel me, make sure that you subscribe to this channel. And if you would like to support this channel, please consider becoming a member. Membership starts at $3.99 a month. You get really cool perks like seeing videos first before other folks, and you get custom emojis and loyalty badges. If the monthly commitment seems like too much, please just consider, maybe a one-time tip via that thanks button down there. And if neither of those options is within your capacity, just rock with me. Watch my videos, comment, like, share them to your people, that kind of thing. Um, yeah, those are the ways in which I would like to be supported in this moment. Comment if there are ways that I can support you as well, because we are community. We are in reciprocal care, support, and community with each other. I hope. Tell me if I'm wrong. Anyway, thanks as always for watching this video, and thank you for making time for queer astrology. Y'all take care. Happy Mercury retrograde.